My name's Ty Blanche. I'm an equine veterinarian, and you are tuned in to another episode of Young Black Equestrians.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a young.
I am a young.
I'm a young.
I am.
And I am a young
Black.
A young black.
Young.
black.
A young black.
Black equestrian.
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 Black equestrian.
Equestrian.
Black equestrian.
Equestrian.
Black equestrian.
I'm a young black equestrian.
I am a young black equestrian.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Young Black Equestrians with your hosts, Abriana Johnson.
And Caitlin Gooch.
Today, we have Dr. Ty Blanche with us coming out of Reno, and we are so excited to hear her story as an equine veterinarian and what got her into this industry anyway. So welcome to the show, Dr. Blanche.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Blanche.
So let's start off with you just telling us about yourself. You know, I already said you were in Reno, but how you kind of got in the industry, how you fell in love with horses, all that stuff.
Yeah, so I always joke that I got into horses and livestock 100% by accident because I was born in the middle of the desert, Ridgecrest, California. And I had never touched a horse. I'd never heard, that was just a whole different ballgame that I had nothing to do with. And then I went to Fresno State for undergrad because my brother lived there and, he was there to support me. So I was like, I'll choose Fresno.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sat down in my first day of classes and they started talking about meat grading. And I was like, this is an odd, because it was animal science. I knew I wanted to be a veterinarian. I thought I wanted to do small animal. I was like, what does meat grading have to do with animal science? And then I realized very quickly that I was at an ag school, like a very, very big ag school. So we had a horse barn, we had a goat barn, sheep, the whole nine. And I just kind of slowly started going out for more clubs and participating with some 4-H outreach. And I was like, this is pretty cool. And I just something clicked in my head and I was like, I like horses and I want to do horses and I do livestock as well. And I want to do livestock. And I just kind of never looked back, and I made myself try out for our equestrian club, stayed after in classes, took all the horse production, the sheep production, the meat grading classes. I just kind of dove in with both feet and never looked back, and people were surprised and skeptical, and I just kind of kept going. And then eventually went to vet school and was pretty serious about equine medicine and vet school and stayed serious, and then did an internship at Comstock Equine in Reno and then stayed on. And I've been here, I think I just celebrated my 4-year anniversary. So I'm practicing about 4 years. So I do horses, goats, sheep, a little bit of cattle, a little bit of pigs. No cats, no dogs.
Congratulations on coming up on 4 years.
Thanks. Yeah, it's flown for sure. I'm like, it feels like it's been 15.
Right. So I know that we have a lot of listeners that are interested in becoming veterinarians. So what would you say is one of the kind of biggest, I would say, motivators? Because I mean, it's hard. It's hard. But what would you say kind of got you through all of that?
I think having key people around you and really being your own advocate, because when I was in high school, none of my counselors had a clue what you needed to get into vet school. They just didn't know. And so they'd be like, oh, you need this class. And I'd look it up myself and say, actually, it says I need this and this and this. And you really, really have to be your own advocate. Mm-hmm. And then depend on those advocates around you that are educated. I had some key people that would, supportive, especially, being totally new to the equestrian world and 4-H world, because it's a whole different ballgame and there can be quite a bit of gatekeeping for sure. So I think being your own advocate and really leaning on those around you and just bullheaded determination, don't take no for an answer, find a way around it. I had clinics that would say, no, you can't volunteer here. It's okay. find a different clinic to volunteer at. When I first started working at my first equine clinic, I had just learned how to halter horses. And so, those key people that take chances on you, and my boss took a chance, and obviously I've come very far, but for just sheer determination.
That is admirable for sure, because not that small animal is easy, but I feel like a lot of times it's like well, if I can't do this, then I'll do that, so in choosing that path and choosing to go the harder route, I know that you have had to overcome, obstacles that, maybe other veterinarians haven't. So
yeah, there's definitely, not that there's a great small animal blueprint, but there was really no, like, I didn't have a black veterinarian, like a black large animal female veterinarian that I could be like, how did you do? Like, that didn't exist. So it can be difficult if there's no blueprint, there's no one that really came before you that you can lean on.
What do you think is like a common misconception for your profession, or maybe your identity in that profession?
I think a common misconception, when everyone will always say, oh, I always wanted to be a vet, and I love puppies and kittens and foals, and I think veterinarians, we do a lot more than like wellness care. We do a lot of really tough stuff and a lot of really broad stuff. So we work with food safety. I do a whole lot of health certificates, and it's not just this narrow spectrum of I'm your vet and I'm going to give you your vaccines. It's this broad range, and there's so many roads that you can go down within veterinary medicine. It's not just general practice, especially large animal. We're all over the place.
Yeah. We had another veterinarian on. I don't even know if that was last year. Maybe it was the year before that, but she talked about how she started off as an EMT.
Wow.
And so she did vet school later, much later in her career, and how, those different career paths, they kind of work together a little bit just because it's medicine, but how she just had to switch her mind for that job. But if you were to do something else, what do you think you would be doing?
Honestly, I don't know. I think, I always joke, as much as I complain, my worst day in equine medicine is probably better than my best day doing anything else. If I absolutely could not be an equine vet or a livestock vet anymore, I'd probably do something like food safety, meat inspection, very still much in that world. But I don't know that I could maybe go to medical school, maybe be a human doctor. I don't know. One is easier than 20, 30.
Right. What would you say is like your favorite part of veterinary medicine?
I think my favorite part is, I'm just getting to the point where I'm starting to see the same patients over and over, is developing that bond with horses. You have some horses that are maybe a little leery, or they come in needle shy, or you finally, figure out what's this chronic problem, what the solution to that is. So I think my favorite part is starting to build that relationship with the clients and the patients, for sure. Because I'm just now getting to the point where someone will see me in the grocery store and say, hey, he looks great, and he's been great for the last year, and you're like, oh, amazing. You can actually start to see the difference that you're making. Whereas when you first start out, you're like, am I changing anything? Is anything helping? And now it's starting to see those little changes, and those help.
Right. I want to talk about that a little bit more. The key term at this point is imposter syndrome, that you felt in the beginning. Let's talk about that and how you kind of work through that.
Oh, I think it's imposter syndrome. Gosh, it feels like it never goes away. Even getting ready for this today, I was like, gosh, I don't know why they want to talk to me. I just go to work and I do my thing. And but I think taking those little victories, because it's so easy to focus on every little failure of this case didn't go well, or I lost this patient. One big thing I do is I keep every thank you note, every little, email, card, whatever that just says, hey, you helped me, because it's so hard to see the long term, especially being, the only, sometimes it's a pretty conservative town. So sometimes I won't see another Black person for a week in the grocery store, at work, a week. So especially like being very much other and looking around like, do I belong here? Like, ugh. But focusing on those little victories and those little shreds of, hey, you helped this, you did this, but it is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely the hardest on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how do you like manage your workload, or what kind of, I know this is Caitlin's favorite topic, but self-care do you do to kind of, I mean, it's taxing on your body to do large animal stuff. So what do you do to take care of yourself?
It's definitely a work in progress for sure. Especially, we just had the Reno rodeo here, so that's 2 weeks of being pretty darn busy.
Mm-hmm.
I think you start to, for me, my self-care is little luxuries. Like I get a facial every month, and growing up that's unheard of to like go get a facial or anything like that. But
shout out to the facials. I love that.
Facial once a month, every month, to the point where, when I get off track, I'm like, I can feel it in my bones and I just need to go lay under a steamer. I'm very much an introvert, so my self-care is often me being alone. So I'll take myself to the movies, and then we go get a facial, and then me go get dinner with myself. But definitely alone time is my recharging, because I spend all day talking to people and working through problems with people. But
that part.
It is exhausting.
Yeah. Sometimes you just want to be alone in your own thoughts and not just having conversations with words.
Yeah. Coworker is an extrovert, and she always will say, oh, it's like, today's my Monday off. What are you doing with your Monday off? What are you doing with your Friday off? Oh, nothing. Oh, do you want, nope. I said nothing. Nothing. That is what I meant.
Exactly. And nothing is self-care.
Yeah. And a lot of people have to plan to do that. You have to plan to do nothing. So no, I don't want additional plans. This is enough.
I think you just have to figure out how you recharge. That was one of the best lessons I got in vet school, is some people recharge by being with others, and some people recharge by doing something else. And for me, it's being alone, and I don't think about work and just totally check out.
Yeah. And a lot of times I feel like people get confused when they see people that can perform or can interact. They think that introverts are like just over in the corner, like, and it's like, no, I can, I'm not like a hermit. I can interact with you, but I also want to be by myself when I'm done.
They're like, what do you mean you're an introvert? You're not shy. You're so friendly. You're so bubbly. I'm like, yeah, because I'm on, and I need to be off.
They don't know what introvert really means.
Right. Introvert does not mean shy.
Yeah.
Yes. That is like, I feel like both Caitlin and I are introverts, but we'll get on here on this podcast and cut up and, have a blast. But then we're also like, we message each other like all day long. Like, I don't talk to her. If she calls me, I'm like, what's wrong?
Why are you calling me?
What's up?
Facebook, Instagram, send me a TikTok. Don't talk
to me.
Like,
you all right? Is it an emergency? So I feel you on that completely. Do you do any sort of like mentoring, or like, are you still connected with the vet school?
Yeah, for sure. I am one of the I am the coordinator of our internship and externship program at Comstock. Students, like vet students that want to come for a visit, will shoot me an email and say, hey, I'd like to do an externship at your clinic. So in that regard, definitely do a lot. We always like to have students. Obviously, we have a pretty strong internship program, that first year training program.
Yeah.
But I do find that I love that. So definitely.
Yeah.
That student is great.
Is it a year long, the internship?
So the internship is a year long, but usually our interns have done what's called an externship, and that's like a 2 to 3 week visit where you just come and you shadow. It's usually restricted to like active veterinary students, just insurance purposes. Sure, if you get ran over by a horse, we got some insurance on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, little 2-3 weeks visits are more than adequate. When I visited my clinic as an extern, I visited for a day. And then they were like, oh, do you want to come out and be an intern? Sure. Sure.
Yes.
We love to have students, and I always get particularly excited when I have a student of color, a veterinary student of color. I'm like, come to the dark side, come do medicine, livestock.
You should.
Yeah.
Yes.
Light that industry up with melanin.
Yes.
Yeah. Gosh, I just lost my question. It was about the internship. Oh, how would you suggest, because this is another, I just keep thinking of barriers that people say that they have when not only getting into veterinary medicine, but getting into the horse industry. So one of them is not being able to find the opportunities. So how would you say that you were able to navigate finding opportunities for yourself? I know you said that, just continuing to not take no for an answer, but like actively seeking out those opportunities. What did that process kind of look like for you?
It's definitely a long process. I kind of lucked into some things. I made some close friends in my undergraduate, and then they all worked at an equine clinic, and I was like, hey, is that something that I could do? And I actually didn't even get hired. I worked for months and months, probably almost even a year, as just a volunteer, and I would just show up. And I think the big thing is no opportunity is too small. So if they just need someone to come muck stalls and do the best stall cleaning they've ever seen, and be available and willing and open. I think, no, you're not too good for any job is the biggest thing. I would show up and I'd be like, hey, do you need me to reorganize the office for you? I noticed it's pretty dusty. So I think definitely making good friends and making use of those connections, but really just showing up and saying, I'd love to shadow your veterinary program, but I'm happy to start cleaning with, cleaning stalls, or if you're small animal, cleaning pens or whatever. But just being willing and open and very humble.
Yeah. I feel like that is one of the first things that I ask. I'm like, or what I've noticed is like, oh no, I want to be, wrangling animals. And it's like, but they might poop on you and you haven't done any cleaning. Like, you got to start cleaning first and then you work your way up.
And I would say that's the biggest thing with students and volunteers. The students that come to us and are very much like, I'm just here to learn, veterinary medicine, and I just want to learn how to put catheters and all this. Well, if you weren't with me at 2 a.m. mucking stalls and working up that colic and really like being in there, it doesn't make me want to, like, I'll seek you out and give you opportunity if I notice, hey, she helped really a lot with treatments the other day. Let me take her on this call with me, or him on this call with me. So I think, those little things are very noticed and people don't realize it, as well as being nice to everybody involved, especially like grooms are great people to get friends with. Stall cleaners, the handyman, those are the people. It's very easy to go in and be like, well, I just want to ride. I just want to do, like, I don't have time for you. But then those people will come to me and say, hey, not great, that one. And it's like, okay, duly noted.
Yeah. And those are the people that know what's wrong with the horse. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, the owner may call, but it's like, okay, can you give me the history? Well, last week. Well, what about yesterday? You know?
Yesterday, yeah, I talked to the grooms, trainers, and like the owners are great, but they're with the horses every day, or even, a lot of it is the girl that cleans the stalls every week and every day and grooms the horses.
Mhm.
Often that person knows way more than the actual
Right.
owner. So
Right. Or they're the ones helping administer the treatment. So it's important to make sure that they understand what's going on.
Right. Because a lot of times there are horse owners who only have time to ride. They don't have time to do other stuff and notice those changes and those things, or keep up with it.
yeah,
Mhm.
all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, when I saw him last time, I'm like,
Mm.
I don't have time. I need to find someone that actually knows the horse.
Right. Right. Exactly. What would you say is like the biggest challenge that you faced, either working with horses or being in the industry? It can be a case, it can be.
I think probably the biggest challenge is overcoming that initial surprise when you get out of a vet truck, or when you decide you want to, when I decided I wanted to work in large animal, I had quite a few people that were just surprised to the point of being gatekeepers, and very much.
Mhm.
I had few key people that were so helpful getting me ahead, but I remember vividly when I was an undergrad, I so badly just wanted to be out with the horses, and I just had all I had for shoes was from like an old costume for Halloween. It was like pink plastic Doc Martin like boots, and like some girls were kind of sneering and making fun of me behind my back, and I had a good friend kind of say, hey, here's, I have some Ariats and some Justins, these are old, do you want them? And like that little gesture made all the difference. So I think really overcoming people's expectations, and just going into everything with a good attitude, because I definitely will get out of the vet truck and see people and see the surprise on their face and kind of feel the vibe change. And
Mhm.
you just get out and you're as happy and as friendly as can be. And it doesn't work every time, but they'll start to feel pretty silly about how stubborn they're being if you're just, sounds cheesy to say kill them with kindness, but that's the biggest challenge, especially with clients. 99% of my clients are great, but there is definitely 1% that have made it clear that the color of my skin is perhaps a problem for them.
Mhm.
So treating them with equal kindness, and not, treating the patient,
Mhm.
not saying, well, I'm not going to treat your horse because you're, refusing to see a black veterinarian today. But that's the biggest challenge, is just overcoming that surprise, that elephant in the room that nobody's talking about.
Mhm.
They'll be like, oh, you're so young. I'm like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, because black don't crack.
yeah, exactly. Not that young, but thank you. And making a joke out of it, I say, oh, thank you. It's a bad day when I get out of the truck and you're not surprised. So
My veterinarian is Black, and back when he applied for veterinarian school, he couldn't apply because he was Black.
wow.
So like they sent him his money back.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was talking to another veterinarian and I had mentioned him, and she was like, well, I've never heard of him before. And I almost said he's Black, because I knew if I said that, she, like if she did hear of him, she'd be like, oh, that one, because there's not a lot of Black veterinarians in this area. But I didn't say it because I was like, his legacy is so amazing. If you ain't heard of him, you can go Google him.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I can't imagine.
So, what vision do you have for like the future of your career?
I envision a group of colleagues that really reflects the population that we serve. So like the equine world is so diverse and is so colorful, and you just don't see that in the veterinary population, small animal or large animal. So that's my hope, is just to get some more faces of color, any color, black, brown, any color, to be able to look and say, hey, we're finally getting a little better representation particularly in the large animal world, because there's such a huge black equestrian world that people just don't even, they're not even aware of.
Yeah.
And I think especially because like your veterinarian's black, not to say that you wouldn't want a white veterinarian, but sometimes being able to look and be like, oh, you know, this person looks like me, maybe I'm a little more comfortable. And I think, you know, the further we get away from that, even, you know, color, financial status, it just makes it harder and harder to relate to the clients and provide them a better service than what we currently are.
Right.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
Do you ride currently?
Not currently. My free time is, it's zero.
Yeah, I feel you. And I mean, a lot of veterinarians, unless it's like sport horse, you know, they're just like, nah. Like I see horses every day.
Right. Like what I need to ride for.
There are days where I get home and I'm like, if I don't see another horse, it'll be too soon. Like I just can't, you know, sometimes you just need that break. But I definitely have friends that are veterinarians and they also ride and they say, gosh, you know, I'm not able to enjoy it as thoroughly as I used to be able to. So I just stick with my cat, and if anything, I'll probably adopt a couple goats if I ever get out.
No.
Yeah.
I love goats.
Yeah.
Do you guys have alpacas out there?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was like, how do you go through all the ruminants and stop at that one?
We see alpacas, llamas.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
Asked me to see her emo the other day. I said, no, thank you. But
yeah. No. I know they're on farms, but like that's a different kind of beast right there. But I have a black veterinarian mentor, and he does small ruminants and camelids, and but he's allergic to horses. So I was like, yay, I found a black vet. Oh, we won't ever see a horse. Okay. I could not get everything I wanted in one package.
That's amazing though. I love that. I love that you're that.
Yeah. So what advice would you give? I mean, you've given a lot of good advice, but if someone was just like, you know, I want to go to vet school, what advice do you have for them?
I guess my advice would be, you can't educate yourself enough. And to go to vet school particularly, it's mentally hard, it's financially hard, and the more you can educate yourself on that, you know, look up the school requirements, look up the undergrad requirements. There were requirements that if I wasn't aware of them as a freshman in undergrad, it would have offset my whole plan by like years. So you cannot be educated enough, and no one is going to do that for you. You really, really have to be your own advocate and to keep going. I had, you know, many people. I remember once I failed a test and I went to my advisor, this person that's supposed to be my guidance to vet school when I was an undergrad, and I said, I don't know that I'm cut out to be a veterinarian. I can't pass this class. And his response was, you're probably right. And so if you listen to the people around you, it can be very easy to just give up and say, maybe I'll just do small animal, or maybe I won't be a vet at all. So you cannot be educated enough, and do not get discouraged by any setback. There are so many setbacks. You just have to keep going. It's hard. Keep going.
When people make those comments, I wish I could just be a fly on the wall and then just, I don't know, karate chop or bite them. Like, I wish I could be there for y'all in those moments, because that really sucks, especially.
And I ran into him at a conference later, and I was very cordial, but I wanted to be like, obviously,
in your face.
Yeah, like I did
it. Yeah, no, I completely understand that, because I mean, I've been in many situations where it's just like, oh, you're the, or like you know things.
Yeah.
I have been around the block.
I get out of the truck and, you know, my assistant, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm like, no, it's over here.
Right.
So.
Yeah, yeah. And in the year of the Lord's Savior 2021, we still still dealing with this. So
Crazy.
yeah. So one question that we always ask is, what does the word equestrian mean to you? I know that you aren't riding a lot, but you can take this one of two ways, either equestrian or like being a veterinarian. I feel like there's an identity that kind of goes with that. So what does that like mean for you?
I think for me, in terms of what is being a veterinarian, and you could probably stretch it to equestrian, I just think caregiver, guardian, for sure. These animals don't have a voice. You have to listen very closely to what they're telling you and speak their language. Both as a horse owner and a veterinarian, you really have to be in tune. So just the ultimate caregivers and guardians for sure.
I agree with that. Do you guys do inpatient?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We do. We are essentially a referral hospital. So we hospitalize, we do a lot of surgeries. We'll take referrals from all of Northern Nevada. We're pretty much the only hospital fully staffed and functional in Northern Nevada. So we do inpatients, we do field calls. We will drive, up to an hour and a half away to see horses and goats and things like that. So it makes for long days and long nights, but yeah, we for sure hospitalize things for sure.
I was just curious because a couple of my mentors, like they were private practice. They were not in a hospital. So I just wonder.
Yeah, it adds a layer of difficulty to your day for sure.
Yeah.
Why we depend so heavily on our interns and externs and volunteers.
Yeah. Caitlin, do you have any other questions for her?
How do you wear your hair when you're at work?
So normally when I'm at work, this is just because my hairdresser went down to 3 days a week. It's been very stressful for me. Normally my hair is in braids. So I wear my hair in individual braids. I'll wear crochet braids. And I think I've gotten, I don't want to say braver because your hair should not be that big of a statement. But as the years have gone by, and I've gotten probably bolder. So I'll wear pretty much whatever I want to, be it braids or crochet. Sometimes, usually my braids are a color. So they're usually like purple or blue or pink or whatever. And it's just kind of like, if my hair is your problem, you probably have a bigger problem with me outside of my hair. But braids are my go-to. I love crochet braids and weaves, but gosh, I just get so dirty during the day.
I love that. I included a picture of my daughter, and she has colorful braids in my coloring book.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love colorful hair. And truly, clients, I've never had a client say anything. They usually say, "Oh my God, I love your hair. How do you do that? Do you dye it? Do you braid it every morning?" I said, "Oh no. I in the morning."
Oh my goodness.
In between calls,
Right. It's magic.
Yeah.
I'm that fast and I'm that good.
But usually people are pretty receptive, but I usually have a type of colored braid in. This is, my stylist is booked 3 months out and I'm stressed out.
I understand that completely.
Yeah.
Problems that other people don't have.
I'm the only one. It's not like I can't get mad and be like, "Well, I'm gonna go somewhere else." There is nowhere else.
Yeah, in your location.
She's
We're
amazing.
in this together.
I guess I'll just do my own hair for a couple months, which I hate to do in the mornings, but
yeah. That's funny to me. Well, we have the Derby round. And it is just a series of questions. You just answer with your first answer that comes to your mind. And yeah, it's fun. All right, so phone is, can you hear the phone ringing? No? Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna edit this part out. Okay.
Let it
No,
go.
keep it in.
All right. English or Western?
Western
Solids or spots?
spots.
Bays or grays?
Oh, babe.
That with conviction.
No hesitation. Don't bring no grays around her.
Right. Brown tack or black tack?
Brown tack.
A sponge or a curry brush?
Curry brush.
Shod or barefoot?
Barefoot.
A bumper pull or a gooseneck?
Gooseneck.
Rope halter or nylon halter?
I cannot stress this enough. Nylon halter. If
Okay,
going
last one, and we're gonna come back to that.
nylon halter.
Wood fence or electric fence?
Electric fence.
Now, why are we stressing this nylon halter?
I think rope halters are a great training tool in the day to day, but when you're seeing your vet, it is so hard to like get a neat, like if you have a horse that's needle shy or just is the type to get away from you, it is so hard to control them in a rope halter, and they always end up with too much slack or too little slack. Like nylons give us such better control, and then I've got the side clamps that I can work with. I can put a chain really easy on a nylon. I could write a novel and love letter nylon halters.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's just not in veterinary appointments.
Right. Makes perfect sense. And then like the purpose of a rope halter is to stimulate here, like to get them to back off pressure. So if they got pressure here and you're trying to, it's just too much.
Yeah, nothing is more unsatisfying when you go to correct a horse and like give them a good yank on that chain and they're wearing a rope halter.
Yeah, and it's like, well,
I didn't feel anything.
What is your favorite piece of veterinary equipment?
My favorite piece of veterinary equipment: drugs, sedation.
Ooh.
That helps.
I agree. Drug them animals up.
Get him a little sleepy. Oh, he doesn't like to pick up his back feet. Oh, it's fine.
Safety first.
Yeah. Safety.
Yeah.
You're so lucky to have sedation.
People laugh at me because they're like, so my animal does this. I'm like, have you tried drugs?
Drugs.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's what they're made for.
That's what they're made for. Like,
you're like, oh, you have to sedate him to do his teeth? I'm like, yeah. Do you want to be awake when your teeth are done?
No. Put your finger in there. Okay. What is your favorite piece of barn equipment?
My favorite piece of barn equipment? Just a plain old pick. I love a good stall pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll have days where I sneak away. I'm like, I'm just going to pick this stall and think about, what's going on, what's going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I left my fork outside, and so it broke because the wood got soft, and so I had to like whittle it down and stick it back in there because I'm like, it's not really broken. Right. But I mean, I'm like 5'4", so now the pole is like, I'm like, this is the perfect size for me.
Oh my goodness.
It was just funny. Like I picked it up and I was like, wow, this is me size now.
I'm
hilarious.
A modified pick for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Kayla would be like, what is this little shovel?
Yes, I would. What in the world?
Us short complications in our lives.
Yes. Have you ever fallen off of a horse?
I've never fallen off of a horse. I've fallen while working on horses, like under feet. I've definitely lost my balance and kind of had to gator crawl away, but I've never fallen off. And that's probably, I'm partial to, like 15 hand, 14 hand, like to reduce that fall for me.
Yeah, shorter to the ground. It's a lower or a shorter drop for sure.
Yeah.
Falling don't prove nothing, so it's all right.
If money was no object, what is one horse-related purchase you would make?
Money was no object. probably the horse itself. Little quarter horse.
No.
An old one though. I don't need any 3-4-year-olds in my life. I want a like 15, 20-year-old little quarter horse.
No. Well, that is the last question in the Derby. That was fun. Well, let us know where our listeners can catch up with you and kind of where your practice is, all that, if they wanted to get involved with the internships or externships.
Yeah, so I'm at Comstock Equine Hospital in Reno, Nevada. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Facebook. You can email me personally. I think my email is probably going to be in the show notes. My personal Instagram is not well maintained, so I won't even bother giving you that unless you want to look at pictures of my cat. But it's comstockequine.com. If you wanted to do an internship or an externship, you can email at office@comstockequine.com.
Shout out to the opportunities.
Yeah, there's the opportunity. Reach out. Even if, you don't want to volunteer, I am so open to just having conversations. Call me, text me. Hey, does this seem like a good vet school? Does this seem like a good program? The equine world is so small that it just takes a couple people to put your name in somebody else's ear. And that's huge. Always happy to help.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that, and we appreciate your time on today's episode. And
so much for
Thank you.
It's a huge honor. I'm very excited.
Of course. And all you have to do is exist for us to talk to you. There are no qualifications. You just gotta be the easiest one. And you gotta like horses.
I love them.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, all right. Well, this episode will go live on Friday. So we'll I'll shoot you an email so that we can get a picture of you that we can use for the post.
Thumbnail.
Yeah. And it'll go live on Friday.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me, and keep doing what you're doing. It's so important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Young Black Equestrians. Head over to our Facebook or Instagram pages and let us know what you thought about that episode. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and have the opportunity to be featured in our next episode.